Me and contenders ain't got no relation. So what you win if ain't no reparation? How much you spending on your preparation? I'm about them binges so to win and be the motivation. Determination is intention plus the willpower. Real power, pressure you should feel. Ours, bills tower. Over us, I overcome, I'm overcomes. I need direct transactions, don't wanna wait till you load the funds. You hold the funds and Joseph come, promote the Kirk, demote your son. I overthrow the CEO, I'm taking over some. The chosen one, you throw me one, you owe me two. You holding one, I'm holding you accountable, act like you owe me one. Look, every lesson learned is a lesson taught. Every blessing earned is a blessing caught. Promise I'm meek and humble and grateful for every bit. The head is heavy, so your promise have a heavy fit. The BiggDogg Chico Show. That sports talk. Scope up. Joe Flo.
One time for your mind. Let's go. Going up in this thing, man. Y'all know what it is. BiggDogg Chico Show, the biggest dog of them all. Chico, Tennessee, and the place to be. Coming to see you live and direct from the middle of the ocean. You feel me? Shouts out to my dog Joe Flo out of Mobile, Alabama, Mob Town. This is the BiggDogg Chico Show. Hope you tuned in wherever you tuned in from, live and direct, man. Let me know in the comments right now. Join in. I will have Brian Howell joining me on the show. Actually, I think we're going to do a joint thing and just go ahead and go with the Buff Time podcast on my channel and on his channel also. But right now, you're into the BiggDogg Chico Show, and just to recap on some things, yes, the Colorado Buffaloes, of course, pulled out a big-time victory this past weekend. If you didn't know, you should know, as the Buffs won 48-21 over UCF. And yes, there were other scores in college football. Some main ones that you need to know about. Arizona beat Utah 23-10. Yes, Arizona beat Utah, number 18 Utah, 23-10. The Alabama-Georgia game, of course, was a thriller with the number 1 Crimson Tide beating the Georgia Bulldogs 41-34. Georgia Bulldogs were ranked number 5. Number 1 was Alabama. Penn State, number 7 ranked Penn State, beat the number 24 Fighting Illini 21-7. Boise State, and that hell of a running back they have, number 21, they're ranked. They beat Washington State 45-24. Oregon over UCLA 34-13. And number 13, LSU over South Alabama 42-10, of course. So, hey, man, I'll say this about the Big 12 and Colorado. The Buffs, have a chance to get to the Big 12 championship game, man. That means that they have a chance to make the college football playoffs. Now, if they do that, with the goal being to start, goal number 1 being to get to a bowl game, and that's 6 wins for anybody who might ask, 6 wins. And I don't know, does the FCS win matter or count? Do they have to get the 7 wins for a bowl game? Not sure, but for a good bowl, that where Coach Prime want to be playing during New Year's Day or something like that, you got to win some ball games, and it's not just going to be 6 games. So we're going to see how that play out. Hopefully the Buffs can pull it out. A bye week this week and heading to play back home to play Kansas State. I should be attending that game. God willing, everything works out. You know what I mean? Go ahead and get there, do my thing, and enjoy the game. And shout out to all the players out there who really balled out during the UCF game. All right, couple shout outs. The people in the comment section checking in from New Jersey, Old Now Allen, Harlem, New York up in here, South Florida, yes indeed, Fresno, Texas, Tampa, Florida. Let me see. Come out wherever you are. You're right. Brian. Brian will be joining shortly. Let me send him the link. I haven't sent him the link yet. I'm tripping. Who else we got up in here, man? Once again, South Florida in here. Sac passe to all my Zoles out there. You know what I mean? It counts, big dog, definitely. Memphis, Maine. Oh, now Memphis. South Haven also. They need 2 more. That's all they need is 2 more, guys. Daytona Beach, Florida up in here. Oh, now from Louisville, Kentucky. You already know what it is. What is that? Spun away Washington. Okay. BYU could be the best team in the Big 12. Could be. They're definitely going to be disciplined and run the ball. Michigan up in here. Oh, down to Murder Midden. NC, Fontana, California. We're going to be talking about the red shirts, the guys who red shirt from Colorado. We're going to talk about them. We're going to take some callers. We're going to ask Brian why did he make these picks, or why did he think that Colorado was going to actually lose that game by double digit, by multiple scores. We'll see why he thought that in a second. I need to send him an invite before I could do anything else. Go here. Get that right. Let me know in the chat any questions y'all might have for myself or Brian. Put them in the chat right now. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Get your questions in right now. Hawthorne, California. Dallas, Texas. Oh, no. Has anybody heard from Paul? American Samoa in here, man. Shout out to all my Usos and my Soles and my Sungas out there, man. And the whole family. You know what it is? I had a question. You skipped right over it. Let me see. Goodness gracious. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to all the questions. I see Michigan. I didn't see a question. O-line and D-line get their shine. Jalen Wester did 1 or 2 tackles. Cam carry 92 yards. Is that the question? Jalen Wester did 1 or 2 tackles. Did he have 1 or 2 tackles? I'm not sure. I will have to look at the stat sheet that's on Google. But he did have 1. He did have 2 fumble causes that only 1 counted, I think is what you're talking about or referring to. Yeah. Any questions, y'all let us know. I will be getting to the questions for sure. Any super chats, y'all let us know. But just any, I'm sure y'all have all of the final stats and everything from the game. If not, I guess I could read them off to you. We'll start with Shedeur Sanders. As far as player stats go, he was 28 of 35, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Y'all saw that on the 3rd play of the game. Came back after that, was super laser focused. If you take away that pick, or if you include that pick, let's say that pick count after that, he was basically what, 28 of 34. That's pinpoint, you know. The running backs, Isaiah Augusto, 4 for 39. Hayden, 11 for 33, 1 touchdown. Michael Welch, 5 for 26, 1 touchdown. Running backs really did their thing. Shedeur had 5 for 15. Charlie Offerdahl, 3 for 11. And Draylon Miller even had a carry for 4 yards. Will Shepard, 1 yard shy of 100 with 99. 4 catches and an amazing touchdown grab on that deep post route. Excuse me. Travis Hunter, 9 for 89. 11 yards short of 100 for the 5th straight game to set a record. Jimmy Horn Jr., 5 for 41 in his home state, along with LeJontay Wester, 3 for 34, and a big touchdown on his end right there. Let me see if B, let me know when you coming in, B. I'm ready now. Might as well get it on. But other than that, let me see. Said Ben is always hype. That early play, they'll need to get in, and so on. Yep. Oh, now, all right. So what we're gonna do is, man, we're gonna go ahead and get y'all questions. If you have any questions for Brian, we're gonna bring Brian on right now. This is the Big Dog Chico Show. Make sure y'all hit the like, subscribe, comment, and all the other good stuff. If you haven't followed the Buff Time Podcast with myself and Brian Howell, you need to do so right now. Also, check us out on the Bleacher Report app. If you haven't gotten that Bleacher Report app, you need to do so. You'll see us on there live each and every Wednesday, giving our Colorado Buffaloes midweek update. All right, we're gonna bring my main man on right now. B, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Chico?
Man, what's crackling, man? I know y'all got soaked down there in South Florida in the rain.
It was a little wet. I remember, so pregame, I usually walk down to the field and walk around the field, and I always also go check out like where the press conference is going to be, so I know where I'm going after the game. And when I went down there, it was pouring rain. Well, what I didn't expect is when I'm in the bowels of the stadium, and they have like the metal seats up there, and it's like pouring through.
Yeah,
through the seats, and I'm like, oh boy. And I mean, the students, as I'm walking through, the students were like, they're waiting for the gates to open, and they're just sitting there like a pack of dogs, at the gates, just waiting to be opened, and they're soaked. And literally, like, I'm watching Rob Livingston and other CU coaches, like, kind of with their phones, like, filming this because they're getting ready to open the gates, because it was such, this wild scene of like they letting the students in, and they're just running in with the pouring rain. I mean, it was wet,
man. But we're gonna get into some of the things that we have. Y'all, hey, I'm gonna let you guys get in here and ask your questions. Any super chats, we will be reading them. I might need to, Brian, you want to take some callers? We might take some callers. We might put it in the chat and take a couple callers if we have time.
Sure.
But
yeah,
this is what we'll do. I want to ask and know about that the whole environment right there down there in South Florida, or should I say Central Florida.
Yeah.
As far as the atmosphere goes, how was it? Did the rain eventually clear up? I saw it kind of picked up at the end of the game. How was it from your point of view once again?
Yeah, I don't think it rained really during the game. It's sometimes hard to tell in the press box if there's like a light rain. I asked Uncle Neely actually after the game. I said, because he was down there the whole time, I said, did it rain during the game? And he goes, I don't really think so. I think it kind of stopped in pregame and didn't really pick back up. So I think the field was just wet, but they must have a good drainage system, because it didn't seem to really affect footing. I don't know if you noticed that at all, but it didn't really seem to affect the footing of anybody at all throughout the day. So, it looked like there was a couple times that they were maybe switching out a wet ball, but really it didn't seem like weather, once the game started, didn't really impact people.
Mm-hmm. Nice, man. Hey, big game for the Colorado Buffaloes, big win for them. We're going to talk about the red shirts also, the news that we got, the injury updates. Got a bye week right now. You guys in the chat right now probably going crazy. Brian, pretty much I watched you and yourself and Adam the post game, and you guys stood up there. You said, I'm gonna own it. I picked these guys to lose. We got to make sure we get into that. Hold on, hold your horses, guys. I see y'all in the chat right now. Hold on.
Man, they're brutal. Man. They don't understand the role here. I'm supposed to be an impartial. It's not my job to pick them to win every single game. They're not going to win every single game. Man, I did pick a win against Nebraska, and they got killed. Where was everybody having my back then? Jeez, it's brutal. As far as the bandwagon, all those people that are saying, I saw somebody, there's no room on the bandwagon. I was one of the only people on the bandwagon for about 10 years before 18 months ago or whatever. So don't give me this, there's no room on the bandwagon. Come on.
So 10 years ago to now, has it been hard to see or kind of separate what's going on now as opposed to what went on in the past? It's kind of hard to separate that, or how do you see it?
No, I think it's just, every team is different. And, I think that one thing about the Colorado program is that, it's been down for so long that, maybe there's, when you see something, you're a little skeptical of like, okay, they still got a lot of work to do. And look, they played a really good game on Saturday, but there's still a lot of work to do. And, it's funny because, a lot of these comments will come because we'll be critical on, well, they still got to do this, they still got to do that. You know who does that more than anybody is Coach Prime. He still will come out and say, yeah, we did this, but look, it wasn't good enough. I mean, he called out his own team last week and yelled at him saying, you guys act like you just killed Baylor. you're lucky to win that game. So, he's called that out too. So that's my role, is to kind of point those things out. But, it's not hard to separate it. I mean, I think every team is different, and, you can tell that this team is different than most CU teams I've covered. The 2016 team was really good. And that year, it took a while for people to catch on. I was like, okay, whoa, this team might be actually good, because for years they had been, not a very good football team. And then all of a sudden, in 2016, it was like, well, they won 10 games, and so, when you've shown one thing, it's hard to get people to see you doing the other thing. Right. And so even Coach Prime said it the other night. He said, I've been waiting to see this performance. We had not seen a performance like that in the first 16 games that Coach Prime was here. So why would anybody expect them to look like that when we haven't seen it for 16 games, right? So you can hope and you can be a fan and say, yeah, we're going to see it. But even Coach Prime has said, we haven't put it together. We haven't put it together. And then the other night, he's like, we finally put it together. I've been waiting to see this. And we all have. I've been waiting to see it too. So believe me, people, I've been following this team longer than most of you have been following them. I promise you. And, I was in high school and cheered very loudly when they won the national title, because I grew up a Bus fan. So, I'm just as excited for wins. Even if I pick a loss, I promise you, I'd much rather see a win, because it's much better to cover a win. I'm happy to be wrong if I pick a loss. I promise.
Hey man, Brian is getting it out, man. He letting you guys know right now. I'm laughing. I see some of the comments. But hey, we are serious. This is serious. Brian, before we get to the comments, you want to address anything stood out to you? Because I can't miss some of them. You want to address any one of them that stands out to you first before we just go to some of the
just real
ones
quick,
that I've picked?
The one saying, look, that I don't really want them to win. Why would I want them to lose? Just somebody explain to me why I would want the team I'm covering to lose. What do I have to gain from them losing football games? Trust me, I've covered 1-11 2 years ago. I've covered terrible football. I don't want them to lose. It's not fun when they lose. Trust me, I'd rather them win. And, just because I pick them to lose a game every now and then, it's okay. I promise you I'd much rather see them win, because the reality is, as a reporter, I am supposed to be impartial, but you like the people there. And I really like a lot of the people that I've gotten to know with this program. I like Deion Sanders. I like Shedeur Sanders. Every interaction I've had with Shedeur has been great. I think he's an awesome young man. I like Travis Hunter, the little interactions we've had. The Westers, Jimmy Horn, Levanta Bentley, Tyler Brown, all these guys, great interactions with all these guys. They're good people. There's good people behind the scenes that have been at CU for a long time, or even for the 20 months or whatever they've been here, that, I'd like to see them win, because they're good people.
I'll say this. Let me ask you this then. Why? All right. I'll start off first and just say, why did you pick? And for the people out there, for some context, I think I should play this. Should I play this? Should I play your actual pick? And
sure,
how?
If you want. Yeah.
All right. Let's play it, guys. Let's go ahead and play it, so you guys can know what the heck we're talking about right now.
Well, the last I've seen is that it's going to be about 90 and rainy that day. So I saw 60-70% chance of rain. The tropical storm / hurricane.
Let's see if I can get to the point. Hold on. Expecting the unexpected, but
right.
If it's just all right, well, it's kind of holding up right now, guys. But the point is, Brian, we had our predictions. We make our predictions, of course, each and every show.
Yeah.
And Brian, can you let them know why you picked UCF, and what was your prediction and why?
Well, first off, look, they were 14-point underdogs, and so a lot of people picked them to lose that game. I picked it because, for one, we had not seen the offense look like that yet this season. They had not fully clicked a lot. Shedeur has said it. Coach Prime has said they've been slow out of the gates. They haven't totally clicked on offense until this last week. They've changed some things in the run game that we're starting to see that we haven't really seen a whole lot recently. And then, I just thought as much as they're doing a solid job against the run, I really thought UCF, was going to run on them. Not to 375 yards like they were averaging, but I was really high on RJ Harvey, and I've really thought all summer that this UCF team was underrated. I was surprised as much as anything the other day of how bad UCF looked, and I think CU had a lot to do with that. But
let me say this before I forget. Because like you said, you were expecting RJ Harvey and them and KJ, and you see UCF, and they have this, they have that. I'm trying to put it in simpler terms. I think I'll say this: if I go see somebody live in person, a concert, I'm kind of more connected to that artist now. I've seen them live.
Yeah.
I always have a connection to the Cash Money Millionaires. I saw them live in Birmingham, Alabama. Just a connection I have. Before that, so with this team, with you covering them for the longest, and you're seeing what Coach Prime has done in the recent time, in the short time he's been here, and players he's brought in, and being so close to the program, you're there for all the press conferences. Like you said, you've seen these guys, you have interactions with them. How or maybe I'm wrong, are you, or maybe not? How could you stay and not be so connected, so to speak, in a way to where you can have more belief in these guys rather than a team from across the country that, you're just looking at the stats or you're just looking at the film? Is it just because you're able to be objective? You could detach or to explain that to me, because I'm seeing these guys and I'm like, there's no way. I'll explain my point of view, but tell me yours first.
Well, I mean, let's just look at the CU team I've been watching. Okay, is one that at that point this last week we were coming off of them. Let's be honest, they needed a miracle to beat who I think is not a very good Baylor team at home, right?
But that's one game.
I know that.
I know a lot of people do that. Like what happened last game. That was that game.
But again, how impressive have they really been this year before the other day? Again, even Coach Prime said it. That was the first time in 17 games they've looked like that. So why would I think they're going to look like that? Together. We have not seen it, not once. And so the last time they were on the road, they got beat up pretty bad. UCF also had a good running quarterback, and the two running quarterbacks we've seen them play have chewed them up before this last week.
Brian, you're not saying what I'm thinking you're going to say, Brian.
What are you thinking I'm going to say?
They didn't wear the gold pants, Brian. That's why they didn't get beat. No, I'm just playing with you now.
Well, that has something to do with it. That look needs to be thrown out.
Yeah, not
the
with
white jerseys and gold pants.
Yeah, and with the black numbers, that's crazy.
But all credit to the Buffs because they finally put it together, and that's the bottom line. Is that when you're asking how I wouldn't have the faith in that, because I haven't seen that, and nobody has. We have not seen what
you haven't seen it all come together, but you've seen the players that he's brought in. You've talked to these guys. You understand their mentality. You see the difference of the players from this year than last year. You see the efforts that this coaching staff have gone to make sure these guys gel together in the offseason. Player retreats, bringing in player specialists or in locker room guys, Big George Hageman, to help these guys to have an outlet to go through. All these type of things around the program, that's giving me the confidence that, man, no matter what, these guys are going to be able to get through certain things. And then you go back to that last game, like you said, they needed a miracle to win. Well, if you want to say that the games are connected, then that should help them in the next game have the faith and know that, man, we could win at any point, no matter how far we get down. Yes.
It could, yes. But again, when you cover this so long, look, let's go back to 2022. And I know that team was terrible, right? But
long time ago.
Okay. But they needed a miracle to win the one game they won. They beat Cal. And so going off your theory, you could say, well, hey, they've now done it. They've now seen it. They went on the road the next week and got their tail beat, by Oregon State. And so, and I've seen teams, I've covered 15 years of this, when you see players, you see them bring people in, you see things, and like, man, I start to believe, this team looks pretty good. And then they go get smacked somewhere, And so
what's the difference in this team this year so far at this point of the season? What's the difference from all this years you've been covering, what's the difference in this team and any other team in the past?
Well, I'll even say, let's just go back 1 year. The biggest difference to me, this team and last year's Buffs team is that they're getting better game after game. And last year's team, they had the really hot start, and you started to see some cracks against CSU, and then they get pounded by Oregon, and they really didn't get better. They got worse as the season went along. This team's getting better as the season goes along, and that's one thing that I'm impressed with so far. It's only 5 games in. They got some tough games coming up, but I think that's the biggest difference in this team right now is that I go back to second half of Nebraska, and hindsight is often 2020, but I've seen a lot of games where maybe a team's getting maybe a CU team or whatever is getting killed at halftime, and then the second half they play a little bit better, and they think, yeah, we can take momentum from that, but then they don't, right? I think that second half in Nebraska, when I look back at it, that might have been a turning point for this team, because they came out and they started to push Nebraska. They fought back a little bit in the second half, and they've carried that through now. They played a nice game against CSU. I thought it was bumpy against Baylor, but they pulled it out, and then they played their best game of the last 2 years this last week. So
that's how you can build off. That's
right.
How you can build off, to your point. They could build off the fact they could say, we lost to Nebraska at that time. What can we take from it? Where we didn't give up any points in the second half. And then you go into Baylor, knowing this same thing in this UCF game. You went into the second half after having a lead, saying, hey man, we have been a second half team up to this point. Right now we have a big lead.
Yeah.
Oh, we have the confidence to know that we're going to play even better this second half than we played in the first half. That means that we should win this game. So let's go out here and do it. That confidence is there,
well, and look, listen, as a reporter, I guarantee you there'll be more confidence going into Kansas State, because now we've seen what it can look like.
Yeah.
Again, we haven't seen it yet, and until the other day, we finally saw it. Like, okay, I honestly think that game could be a big time game for the Buffs, because now they've seen it too. They hadn't seen it, they didn't know what they could do. They felt they did, but they hadn't put it on tape what they could do, or they put it all together. So I think that was big for them, and I think it's big for the perception.
I think these guys know what they can do, and that's why and the coaches know what they can do, and that's why they're on them so hard, and that's why they push them the way they do. If they didn't, they wouldn't be doing these things. They know the potential of this squad game by game, and being so close to it. I know you don't have access to sit there and watch practice and things of that nature, but everybody has access to well-off media and things of that nature. Everybody has access to their roster and to their coaching staff. I feel like we can, and I'm not trying to get on you for picking them. That's your fault. Yeah, you got to deal with this. But I'm just saying that it don't think that this is the same team from the years in the past. Don't go in thinking. One thing I liked about what Coach Prime has said before is, I don't think negative, dog. And I've been having to keep myself from that. Most people's dreams are killed within their head themselves. They'll think about something, and then they'll think about 5 other reasons why they can't get it done. And then it dies right there. Damn.
Yeah.
So you have to believe. That's where it comes from. You have to believe that we can go out here and win every game. And you have to believe that we haven't played our best game yet. And when we put it together, it'll look like what we saw at Central Florida. 40 points on the board, and we holding them to 21 points. Things like that. And that's what these guys, I think, have the belief in. That's what these professional and former pro coaches are preaching to these guys constantly throughout the game. Don't forget about being in the moment right now.
Yeah.
And I think you got to take all of that into consideration when picking these guys. No, you don't have to pick with your heart, or you don't have to feel that they're gonna just win. But I do think that like I said, I saw these guys live So I know, same way I saw Travis out here live. Yeah, I might not have believed it until I saw it with my own eyes. But once I saw it with my own eyes, I knew that's the
Yeah.
truth. That's the
Sure.
truth right there.
Yeah. Travis. And look, I don't compare these guys to the Buffs from 10 years ago, but I look at the Coach Prime era and, look, first off, I'll say this. I've picked them to win more games than they've won in the Coach Prime era. And, people don't come at me and say, man, thanks for believing in us, even though we lost. No, they'll get on me if I pick them to lose, though, and I'm wrong. But listen, I picked them to be in a bowl game last year, and they weren't there. This year, what were they picked in the preseason media poll? 11th
for the conference. Yeah,
for the conference, they're 11th. I had them 6th. Okay, they're picked to win 5.5 games.
Y'all give Brian his respect. Now
I picked him to go.
That's what we're saying right there, Brian.
I picked
some of us out there,
5.
brother. None of us going to put them 6, man. We're not going to put them 6, brother. Why are we going to put somebody over us, man? Who's better than us, brother?
A lot of people think that because I cover the Buffs, I need to pick them first. And if I don't think they're the best team, I'm not going to pick them.
You should be at home, and it's. I'm sorry, but I would be at home, and it'll be hard for me to put somebody else over just because I'm picking because it's a school name. Our Kansas State should be good, man. F Kansas State and them. Look at who we got, dog. We got to ride with us.
But that's not my job. I mean? My job is to be the objective reporter.
Right. Do your thing, dog.
And look, again, all these people that want to get on me, my point is, from the start, I've believed in the Buffs more than most people do because, to your point, I'm closer to it. And I think that, last year, again, when everybody said 3 wins, I said, no, I think this is a bowl team. And frankly, they should have been. They underachieved last year, right? Yeah. In my opinion. This year, when everybody said 5.5 wins, they're one of the bottom teams in the conference, I was like, no. I told people, I remember being on a radio show, national radio show from the press box before the North Dakota State game. And they said, well, what do you think about this team? And I said, I think that a bowl game is their floor. And they said, whoa, wait a minute. We haven't heard anybody say that. And I said, no, the bowl game is their floor. And I think if things go well, they can compete for the Big 12 title. And they were blown away by that. I would say that. Like, we haven't heard anybody say that confidently that that's what they are. Well, that's what I believed going into the season. And so, just because I picked them to lose the game down in Orlando, it's fine. Trust me. I've believed this team has been better than most people thought from day one.
All right. Well, see, here's the thing now, and Brian, I'm gonna come on here and kind of bust him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But like Brian said, that's not his job to do his thing. Brian's job is to tell him what your job is, Brian. Brian's job is to be objective and make his thoughts and opinions and predictions off of what he feels and what he thinks. I'm not telling him he's supposed to say, you know what I'm saying? As a friend, I might be saying this, but as a professional, no. And that's why I wanted him to come on here and let him speak himself.
Yeah.
And because you got a lot of people going to come in and say, and not think or he's so negative or whatever. And hey, in some eyes, hey, you might be a negative Nancy, whatever they call it. But speak for yourself. But as I said, after you made your prediction live, I said, dog, I can respect anybody as long as they're gonna, stand up on it and say what you believe. Cool, I'm cool with you. If you're gonna ride with you, cool with you. I almost said something, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Like Coach Prime say, the Lord caught me on that one. Don't say that. Don't say
And look, listen, I know I'm talking, fans are listening, and fans, short for what? Fanatic, right? You should ride with your team, and that's great. That's your role as a fan to do that. My role is to be the objective and kind of tell people what I see. This is why there's so many hours given on the airwaves of TV and radio to analysis shows, right? Because people want to hear, okay, what's the analysis? What's going on with this team? Why is this not working? Why is that not working? And yes, if I've got concerns over an offensive line, it's okay to say that, because guess who else is saying it? Coach Prime is saying it too. So he'll mention that. And even I remember this last week, Chico, real quick. This last week, he was asked a question in the Tuesday press conference about the run defense and how great they've been. And his answer was, we've been okay. We still got some things to do. And he was totally right. And But if I say that as an analyst, I'm gonna have people say, "Oh, you're such a hater. That run defense is great." Like, no, they've been okay. There's still some things to work on. But when Coach Prime says that, they don't jump all over him. But but me as the journalist, you want to jump on me, but not you. But
no.
That's
I
my point. Is that look?
Yeah.
Just last thing is like, yes, I want this team to win. It's much more fun to cover a winning team. I've been following this team since I was a little baby boy, and grew up in Colorado, and the Buffs, were my college team. I like Notre Dame as well. I'll own that. Notre Dame and CU were my two teams, and I always loved the Buffs, and so yeah, I would rather see them win. I promise you.
Let me see here. Where was I going to go next? Oh, the analysis as far as why. Now, me, I picked them to win. I didn't pick them to win just as I'm a fan. I picked them to win, and I thought I broke it down why. I didn't just say they want to just because I picked them to win. And a lot of people were saying, I'm gonna say this again. A lot of people were saying, we saw the quarterbacks kill us the other games. The quarterback runs. And I sat here and said, I don't think that's going to be so much the case this game. KJ Jefferson is a big guy, is a good runner, 2,000 yards running in his career, all these accolades. But if we saw the type of runs that Sawyer Robertson got, Robertson and the other quarterbacks got, and you line them up sideline to sideline, I said to myself, I think that they are faster, straight line speed, faster and more elusive than Big KJ. That means that we can get to them. Only thing we need to do is not be afraid to hit them. Look at our defense. I don't see anybody that would be afraid to hit them.
Yeah.
Led by probably the smallest guy on the defense, Cameron Stillman Craig.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So football terminology. Okay. All right. Man, we're gonna take that away, or that's not gonna be a huge factor as huge of a factor as a lot of other people think. Okay, boom, that's gonna be taken away. All right. What we got to stop the running back. They have their best player is the running back. What have we been successful against in the run game? The running backs. Because they're talking about how bad we are against the quarterback because we've been stopping the running backs. Okay, all right. Boom. We're going to key in on this running back. All we have to do is have a mentality to hit the running back in the mouth because that's what run game is. Do we have those dogs? Do we have those coaches that's going to keep them up and revved up the whole every series? Yes, we do. D-Lou and Coach Sapp and a great defensive coordinator. Oh, man, damn, we're in good position to stop these boys and put them in a position to have to pass. How can we do that? We have to score points. Our offense is geared to score points with Shedeur Sanders. With the one, as they say, one caveat is we got to protect them. Well, what do they have on the other side? What did they come into the game with? One sack? Shit, we shouldn't be scared of them. We should be able to protect Shedeur some. All right, if we protecting Shedeur, we know, everybody know out here, 99% of the people who got eyes know that if you protect him, he's going to pick you apart. What type of secondary do they have? Go check and watch the game. Go look at TCU. Go look at the TCU highlights. Who's out there getting burned toast? Number 7. Look at it.
Yeah.
What do coaches? What do we have? We got professional coaches. What is the professional game about? Matchups. Oh man, we got 4 riders on this offensive side as far as wide receivers. All we got to do is match up. Make sure number 7 Shedeur smart enough to see, because the film is not going to lie that number 7 is the problem back there. We're going to attack him. Anytime we see him back there trying to cover somebody one-on-one, we're going at it. All I challenge you guys to do is go look at our touchdowns and look who's back there. Look at our big plays. Who's the defender back there? Number 7.
Yeah.
Man, I'm chopping my I'm licking my lips before the game, because I know if we do what we're supposed to do, we could beat the brakes off these boys. And that's why I said that. And that's why I picked them to win. Not because I'm a fanboy, not because it's because football said that we can. And the main thing, the top 2 things were, we have about 20 guys from Florida. I have and coaches. I just happened to play football with some guys from Florida. The most impactful guys I've ever played with were from Florida. The ones who don't get tired were from Florida. The ones who had the most pride in their state was from Florida. Colorado's going back to Florida to play. They haven't played over there since when? I don't know since when. I bet Brian knows since when. 08.
2008, yeah.
Man, we're going back home. It's a home game for half these boys. Other half is from the Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, that region. We're going back home to play. We're going back to our stomping grounds. This is a home game. We about to go down here, and they don't know what's coming. They think a hurricane coming. No, it's the Colorado Buffaloes, dog. And that's why I picked them. Sorry for being long-winded, but I just had to let you guys know out there who's.
Hey, those are all valid points too, and and the point is that hey, we all make predictions, and sometimes they're wrong, and sometimes they're right, and you own whatever it is. I mean, I think there was a lot of people that went into North Dakota State that game and said, "There's no way North Dakota State's going to hang with the athletes the Buffs have, all that stuff." Well, guess what they did?
Well, I didn't say that.
Not just you, but I'm saying a lot of people said that, right? I mean, there was a lot of people, that said, no, Colorado's going to kill this team because I mean they can't match the athletes, all that stuff. So the point is, sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. I did also say Colorado's very capable of going down there and winning. I just didn't see it, and so I was wrong. That's okay. I'm happy about that. I'd rather cover a 4-1 team than a 3-2 team. I'll tell you that right now.
Especially going into a bye week.
But again, I also picked them to win in Lincoln, and they didn't come close. But nobody had my back on that one and said, "Man, thanks for sticking with us, Brian. Thanks for being on that bandwagon this week." No, they didn't do that.
All right, let's get to a super chat right quick, man. Oklahoma Lovin said, "Hey, Brian, I'm going to keep sending super chats from the 2,400 I won for Colorado winning by 27. I knew UCF was trash. You talk like they were God. Why did you have? Well, I'm not gonna say why, but you picked them, and you say you voted for them in your top 25. Yeah,
I did for a couple weeks. Yeah, I dropped them out last week just because they were by, and I made room for like a BYU that had a really big win against K-State and a couple other teams. So I had them like kind of that 26. That I mean. I overestimated UCF. I thought they were, they were a bowl team last year. I thought they loaded up this last offseason, and they're still going to be a good team. That's
what I was going to say. I don't think you overestimated them. I think maybe against the Buffs.
They're not
a good
trash.
Team.
They're not trash. They're going to win.
They're going to win.
They're going to win 7-8 games. They just didn't. I mean, they didn't have. I mean, CU had their number, and you got to give credit to CU.
It's about, just like they say about boxing, it's about style. Styles makes fights. And that's why I just broke it down like that, because of the style that we were playing against, what we were coming off of, what we have, what we presented, that result right there. I'm surprised I only said 28 to 20, 21, 24, whatever I said, because I guess I didn't factor in the turnover from Cameron Craig and such. But, we were on them.
But, the funny thing is, I mean, games are funny too, because they shift so much. And the way that game started, 3 plays in, Shedeur throws a pick already, and UCF's knocking on the door. Preston Hodge changed that game for Colorado.
He balled out.
Yes, but if he, that's the funny thing about football and about sports, right? But if Preston Hodge doesn't make that play and UCF scores there, we're talking about a totally different game. Preston Hodge changed that thing right there, and I think that once that play happened. Shedeur said it after the game, but you also saw in the videos where the sidelines was like, "Okay, guys, new game. Let's start over."
New game.
That was a massive, massive play for Colorado on Saturday, for Preston Hodge to get that one. And from there, I think they were like, "Okay, let's settle down now." And then they were able to go.
And I think that was a rollover from the previous game, from that first play. They're trying to run this inside slot fade. He got beat one time, haven't been beat on that since. That's an adjustment by him and Coach Rob Livingston to be on that, and I love it. Brian did just clarify this right here, Oklahoma Lovin'. Brian, the problem is you picked them to lose against Nebraska, Baylor, and UCF.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Just say he didn't.
I picked them to win each of the first 4 games, and then I picked them to lose for the first time this last week. I picked them to win each of the first four games, so that was incorrect.
JP's revenge. I've had my own thoughts about Colorado media regarding Coach Prime and the Buffs, but people need to understand journalists must be objective, not fanned out like us. JP's Revenge.
Appreciate that. And I do want to point out also that, I've had respect for Coach Prime. I've admired what he's done for his program. That's why I went down to the Celebration Bowl. I've talked to you about this before. His last game at Jackson, I wanted to learn about the program. And I literally told him, when I finally got to meet with him that weekend, I was like, I'm impressed. Like, this is a family you've got built here. And I was impressed by the impact he's made on not only the players I talked to, but the managers and the equipment people that I talked to. Like, everybody's like, man, he makes such a difference in my life. And that's what impressed me. So I've always admired him. I might, you sometimes question like, why don't they have the run game? Why don't they have the offensive line? Why don't they do this? But as a man, as the guy building this program, I've never questioned the way he's put this roster together and the way he's going about it, or the impact he makes on these guys. So yeah, I do like Coach Prime. And I like it. I like what he does for young. I mean, say what you want about the people that have left the program and get anonymously quoted in these hit pieces. The people that are with him, they ride with him, and they will tell you how much of an impact he makes on them. That's who I listen to, not the anonymous people that, whatever they're doing over there. I listen to the people that I've talked to on this team, a Tyler Brown, who sat there and told me how much of an impact Coach Prime has made on his life. The female managers that are both still, I think both of them are still there. At least one of them is still there, that sat there and told me in Atlanta at Celebration Bowl, this is what he's done for me in my life, and helped me put me on this path because I want to do this in life. And so I listen to that, and that makes more of an impact. I mean, that's why I have respect for Coach Prime. Just because I asked a question that challenges him in a press conference, I still respect the guy quite a bit.
Yes. And yeah, the whole impact, the whole Prime effect, the whole reason we're on here right now with 200 plus people listening in, and probably could be even more. Once we add it in, I don't know why I haven't sent you that link yet, but once we add it in for the Buff Time, if you guys don't know, y'all check out the Buff Time podcast on my channel and on Brian's channel. Brian covers the Buffs 24/7 all week long. He's at the press conferences. He asks the questions. And tell me about your experiences, in the press conferences.
Just in general?
Yeah, just in general, since Coach Prime has been there.
Well, yeah, certainly they're different with Coach Prime. You almost got as many questions as you wanted before Coach Prime, because there wasn't as much competition for questions. And in fact, I've told this story before, but like the last road game I covered before he was hired, they went up to Washington and they had an interim coach. Mike Sanford was the interim head coach. And I was literally the only journalist in the press conference. And so it was me having a conversation with him. My son came on the trip with me. He was sitting next to me. We were the only two people sitting there in the press conference with Coach Sanford. So to go from that to this, you get your one question. That's why generally if people hear me, I'll ask two questions. Sometimes I'll say, I've got two quick questions, because I know I may not get the mic back, and so you try to ask what you can. But look, Coach Prime is really good in press conferences, and I heard some, when he got hired, they're like, oh, it's going to be tough, with him, and just wait till they lose. He's not going to talk and all this stuff. Like, he's the best post-loss coach I've ever dealt with, and I promise you I've dealt with a lot of them. There's a lot of coaches that are just salty and sour and all that after losses, and he's mad, but he'll sit there and ask every single question you have, and he's cordial and respectful, and so yeah, he's actually he's pretty good with us in press conferences. So and they're entertaining.
Yes, all the time. Chico, honest question, what did you think after that first CU series? What did I think? I think, damn, we turned the ball over. Now we got to get a stop. That's what I think. On to the next play. That's what I am. I'm that guy, that cliche football player / coach that says the most important play is the next play. There's nothing you could do about that last play right there, dog. Go on to the next play. Go make a play now. What are you going to do? Complain about? Go make a play. So that's what I thought. It's not usual for Shedeur to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one thing that the videos show. Well Off Media shows, Reach the People Media shows, the pregame shows. When they go on the sideline, and right after that series, if y'all go look at it, they went to the sideline, and you see Shador, once he went to the sideline, say exactly what they were doing. They're trying to do this, what Nebraska did, what the previous schools did. They're going to do this. They're going to drop down here. What we need to do is this, that, and that. Deciphered all of that just by like that, you know? So that lets you know, man, listen, those things are fixable, and it rarely happens with Shador Sanders making a mistake like that. I've been watching him since Jackson State, a little bit before that actually, but college football since Jackson State. He doesn't make those mistakes. I don't care what football level you're playing on. If you're turnover prone, you're turnover prone. Just like some guys are injury prone. It's just that, you know, and that's not Shador Sanders. He's always going to have a low number of interceptions and just turnovers, period, you know, and so I was nothing changed for me after that series.
Well, and look, I think again, going back to Preston Hodge, that's one of the growth aspects of this team and this defense. You know, I wrote a story about them today. If you look at the stats, their stats don't jump out at you. You know, they're like in the 80s as far as like yards allowed, things like that. Those aren't great numbers, but when you look at the important stats in the red zone, they're phenomenal. You know, at third downs, they are dramatically better. It's like 14% better on third downs than they were a year ago. Chico, I had this stat that I tweeted out a little bit ago. Their last 3 games during the 3-game win streak, their opponents have been in the red zone 11 times. They've got 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and 5 turnovers. Colorado has created 5 red zone turnovers in the last 3 weeks. That is insane. And Preston Hodge, and 2 of them were massive, right? Travis Hunter, the last play against Baylor, and Preston Hodge, that first series against UCF. Those were massive. Then the other one the other night, obviously, was Cam Sillman-Craig, scoop and score 95 yards. So this defense is making plays when it matters.
See, in between the 20s, not the red zone, in between the 20s, we could bend, you know, not give up big plays, you know, give up whatever. Once you get into that red zone, you just have to bunker down. I said this in my pregame, what we needed to do to beat them. I didn't just tell you on the recap, but I said that they're going to run the ball. So as long as we're allowing them to run the ball within the 20s, once we get in the red zone, we bow up and force them to kick field goals. And then they went up and they missed the field goal. I was like, oh, it's really on today. They missing field goals? They leaving points. Oh, yeah. So it was one of those times. And like I said, when you're not wearing those gold pants on the road, guys, y'all don't understand. Y'all, everybody laughed at me when I made that video, but I'm dead serious. This doesn't go back. This is not just me watching Colorado. This goes back. This is like what they call it, trauma or something like that. This goes back when I was in college at UAB. Of course, our colors were green, gold, and white. Right. But they always wanted to wear these gold pants with the white jerseys on the road. I hated them with a passion.
Yeah.
For some reason, they gave us some white pants with the green stripe down it, and we wore those on the road. Oh my gosh. The only game we lost was the bowl game we went to that season once they got us those pants. I'm telling you, it's a feeling. It's like when they put pink walls in these prisons or asylums or locker rooms and stuff, it's for a reason. And I think that when you see those gold pants on white jerseys with black numbers,
no, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Hey, you know what? And obviously I know fashion is maybe not the biggest thing, but I know you're making a joke. I do want to give make another point here is that Chico, I do think that this coaching staff, we got to remember that this is a new coaching staff and they had never coached a game together until a month ago, right? I think this coaching staff is growing together, and you're seeing them evolve as the season goes along. And I think Coach Prime, we're seeing him evolve. I think one of the frustrations with a lot of fans and me a little bit as an analyst is watching Coach Prime last year not make that adjustment to a run game. He's doing that now. 3 games ago, after that Nebraska game, I think that they said, you know what, we have to run the football. They've been more committed to it in the last 3 weeks, and what's happened? They've won all 3 games, and they've had an effective running game. And
100%.
one other thing real quick is the way they finished that first half the other day was extremely impressive from a coaching
Yes.
perspective, because what's one of the biggest criticisms of Coach Prime is that during his tenure is
Clock
management, right? They
Yeah.
they were genius in how they managed that at the end of that first half.
If you watch behind the scenes footage, you'll see Coach Prime go over to offensive coordinator and say, we need to get out of bounds right here. Take a shot, get us out of bounds right here. Because he had faith in Alejandro Amato was going to kick a field goal and make it.
You got 2 field goals in the last 42 seconds of the half because of the way they managed that clock.
Yep.
CU wouldn't have done that last year. And so I think they're evolving as a coaching staff. And those are things that, again, going back to the original thing about what, you know, why you're picking this way or whatever, these are things that, you know, we're seeing evolve over time. And so you have to see sometimes things before you can say, yep, yeah, okay, I believe in that. And so we're starting to see these things now. So, okay, I can believe in this now, because the run game that they showed at CSU, that's not just a one-off now. That's 3 games in a row they've done it. You know, we're seeing that clock management, like, ooh, that was nice. That was a really nice adjustment. And that was such a difference to go into the half up 27-14 as opposed to even 24-14. And so I think what we're seeing is this team and the coaching staff really evolve as the season goes along. And that's been the most impressive thing. We didn't see that last year, you know, but we're seeing it this year.
100%, man. You made a point about the coaching staff. I want to just piggyback on and say that, you know, I think the huge factor in this right now is the fact that the coaches that he brought in are NFL coaches. Why does that make a difference? Not just because they're NFL, the highest level you can play on.
Mm-hmm.
It's because so many people make the deal about, in college you got to jail. In college you got to have time to, you know, which is, yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
But who has to do this and makes it as a business? Who does this, you know, for a business? As far as in the NFL, like, you have to do this. This is what you have to. People are coming in constantly, come and go all the time in the NFL. So it's no worry about having to jail. This is what we're going to do. So you have these guys who have all the same common background, who coming in with the same common goal, and who's going to go about it the same type of way. Right? Who's not going to have these communication issues because we're all coming from the same type background. This NFL like mindset and mentality.
Yeah.
And that's how they're coaching these guys. And I see it every series, every play. There's no time off. There's no time to relax. It's every time, you know, you're on film, you're putting this on film and people are watching it. So I love that about this staff. And I think that's what's showing is the fact that they have this NFL mentality now, or I might get cut type mentality, not I have 4 years to be comfortable type mentality.
Yeah, you make a great point. You know, to take that even further, I think one of the best parts about that is that, you know, Shermer's been in the NFL for so long, right? And Livingston, you know, for a dozen years. And one of the big things they do is somebody gets hurt, you got to go sign somebody off of another team's practice squad, right? Or somebody that's on the street, that they better learn the playbook in 3 days. So you're trying to plug in somebody that hasn't even been on your team all year. And so when you lose a Shiloh Sanders, you know, to a broken forearm, it's easy for a Robert Livingston to say, all right, cool, we got Carter Stoutmeyer here, you know, because that's no different from when I had to like replace so and so with the Bengals, you know, because they got hurt. And you know, Pat Shermer, the same thing, saying, all right, you know, we lost, you know, this O-lineman's not cutting it, or this O-lineman's out this week. Cool, we got 10 others over here. Get in there, you know. And
next
so
guy up.
I think that they're equipped to do that more so. To your point, than maybe college guys. And look, I was one too, because all we've ever seen in college football is just historically, it is guys for 4 years that gel, right? That's what college football is. It's one of the things we've loved. And so you think it's not going to work the other way. And so I've been slow to, you know, pick up on that, because I'm like, you kind of need that time. But I go back, you know, Shiloh had a really good and smart comment to me at media day in Las Vegas. I chatted with him, and I asked him about that. I said, "So, is it a big deal? Obviously, that you got these guys that are new to the team, and you're trying to get them." And he goes, "Look, I don't need to know you for years to know if I can trust you."
Right.
He's like,
Or know if I like you.
know if I like you. He goes, "You know what?"
Yeah.
He goes, "You and I could hang out for one day," and I'd say, "Yeah, you're cool. I can hang out with you."
Yep.
And he made a great point. Like, and young guys, and Coach Primus said it right. He's like, "Look, young people, they're like, yeah, cool, whatever. We like the same things. Let's go." And these guys adjust, I think, better than a lot of adults do to new situations.
Think about your kids. Think about your kids. Think about our
Mhm.
kids. They're all way more evolved than we were. You got a
Right.
1-year-old kid strolling on the phone, little baby strolling. I'm like, how the hell you know how to stroll? Right. Oh hell, I'm doing something wrong. Let me put this phone down. The baby is strolling on the phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just
young people are they'll make new friends quicker than adults will, right? And so,
yes.
And I love what Shiloh said to me. I've thought about it many times. Is he's like, "Look, I don't need to play with you for that long." He goes, "Some practices," and like, "Cool, yeah, I can trust you." And these guys are with each other all summer, then all fall camp and things like that. And yeah, okay, maybe they haven't played games together, but Shiloh, using him as an example, now he's played 10 practices next to Carter Stoutmeyer, for example, right? And Cam Silma-Craig in this situation, he's now played 3 weeks with Carter Stoutmeyer. He probably knows he can trust him just as well as Shiloh. And so, yeah, it doesn't take as long. And so I think that we're seeing that they're doing a much better job of that even than they did last year. And I think that's impressive.
Last point, I'm going to shout out some comments. I can't believe we've been on here an hour already. Coach Prime does something, is what he calls if a player has played 60% of the snaps, they don't practice. I think that's Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows the players behind them to get reps in and to develop. That's another, what I feel is an NFL type tactic, is getting the next guy ready to be to step up and to learn and to get his reps in. He didn't play in the game 60%. His reps are about to come on this Sunday, and you can show us something. The guys who did play, who stepped in for the injured guys, Carter Stoutmeyer and Quinn Barnes. Now you know that, these guys can play. They can play with the guys, our starters, our normal starters that we bring back in. Now we can create some situations where we have Silma-Craig, Stoutmeyer, and Shiloh on the field at the same time in certain situations. So, you become more versatile, you become healthier, you become more gelled together as a team, and more guys are involved now. More guys feel like they can contribute, which means that they're going to be attentive all the time. So this team is right where I think if you told me there could be 4-1 at this point, I love it. I'd ask where that loss came, but I love it and I'll take it. And being that it came in a tough environment in Nebraska, that happened, but we bounced back and got a big win on the road at UCF. And right now, 2-0 in the conference. We're right where we need to be, man. Head to a bowl game. So we're going to give
they're ahead of schedule. I do want to say one last thing. I want to give a shout out to somebody that on my plane from Orlando the other day, Cam McKell, the freshman receiver, was on my plane, and so saw him sitting at the gate and went up, and I hadn't met him yet, so I introduced myself and chatted with him briefly. Cam, for fans that follow it closely, know that he's not playing this year. He's injured, so he won't be playing this year. And went down on his own because he's from Georgia, and went and spent some time with his family, and then they went down to Orlando to the game. He's one of those guys. We were talking about the Hurricane Helene that hit last weekend, and his house was okay, but a lot of downed trees and some neighbors' houses that were damaged, and a lot of flooding. And so with a lot of those guys from Georgia and Florida and things like that, a lot of their families and friends were probably affected. So that was kind of a reminder to me in talking to him that these guys honestly, a lot of them probably dealt with some of those emotions this last weekend too. And so, shout out to Cam McKell. It was great talking to him and, getting to know him for a couple of minutes, and prayers up to all those guys that live down there that had family and friends affected by that hurricane and that storm.
Great words right there, Brian. Much love. My family's from that region also. So shout out and prayers up to everybody affected by the storm and the hurricane that went through, that went on down there. All of the, even inland state like, Tennessee, Kentucky, and the Carolinas also, everybody affected by the storm. We hope everybody's okay. Shoot, did we have another super chat to read? Let me see. Make sure we get all the super chats read. People should go back and look at CU record over the last 24 years. There's a reason OG CU fans have a certain tone. They've suffered decades of losing. Outside of 2016, this is a new feeling for them. JP's revenge. We appreciate that.
Hey, there's a ton of Buff fans that have been waiting for a very long time for their team to be good, and there's a lot of Buff media, that have been waiting for this. And look, there's not a lot of Buff media that's been around for a long time, like I have, and like Adam Munster Tiger. We've been through a lot. Trust us, we're enjoying this. We like this.
Yes. Chico Rob been solid all season, and he's getting more confident after the bye week. He's going to be a problem. I think so too. Rob Livingston. I like Brian's assessment. It is spot on, definitely. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Good Sin.
I got a fan, yeah.
You got a fan, B. See, you must have been underestimated. Let me see. I'm just gonna click on some comments, guys. Click on some comments. I clicked on the right one right there. Let me see.
Hey,
Brian,
wait. I don't like that one.
I got the right one right there.
I don't like that one as much.
Brian, I'll take a nice ribeye. Thank you very much. Ruth Chris, thank you.
Well, by the way, it may not be steak. It may not be steak, but you do need to let me know when you're in town for a game again, and we can grab some dinner.
Oh, definitely. KSU, I'm planning to be there.
Okay.
Definitely.
Cool.
Yep. Let me see. We're getting ready to close out, guys. We appreciate you guys. Brian came on here. I told you guys he was coming, man. Brian, you should have picked CU next. Go with your heart, not what the point system say. Yeah, we just laughing at these, man. It's all love, guys. It's all love, in my opinion. Some people might hate me. Trust me. Oh yeah, it's a long line of those now. Okay, Brian, just don't pick K-State. Hey, that's gonna be a tough one now. Look at Brian already sweating over there. He said, "Woo!" Listen, all right. I was gonna say we're gonna get into our predictions for next game on our Buff Time podcast, official show together. Buff Time
next
podcast
Wednesday.
slash Colorado Buffaloes midweek live next Wednesday, right? Not this Wednesday because of the bye week.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. We'll do our predictions next week. I need some time to look over this K-State team and figure it out. But look, I have a lot more confidence in Colorado after this last week. I'll put it that way.
Hey, I'm not going to tell the story. I didn't watch the film of UCF. I didn't get a chance to until what was that, the day before? Was that the day of? It could have been the day of, the morning of. And I was like, oh, snap. Hold on. We about to beat the brakes off. I think it was the morning of, Brian. I only saw it then, and I was like, wait, we got something here now. This is the team they're talking about? Oh, we about to –
yeah.
We're about to beat them, dog. So, yeah, you guys
look,
stay tuned, man.
I do think, like I said, UCF's better than that. Give CU a lot of credit. UCF didn't rise to the occasion, and CU took advantage of it. And
Brian, no, hell no, Brian, nope.
No. What I'm going to add here is CU fans better hope that UCF is as good as I was saying, because that's a great win for CU. If UCF's 8-4, you want UCF to be 8-4, 9-3 by the end of the season, because that means great win.
Brian, we can't let you ride with that. You know why? That'll be cool for me personally.
I just said that was a good win for them.
People are going to say, you said that they took advantage of them not showing up.
They did.
What we want you to say on this podcast right here, not as a journalist, guys. Don't be getting at me. He's a journalist. Leave him alone, Chico. Damn. Listen, I want him to say right here, because this is me and Brian. This is us. We chilling. You know what I mean? This is a conversation that y'all just happen to be in on right now. Brian, go ahead and say one time. CU beat the brakes off of them boys.
They did. You got to give CU credit. They beat the brakes off them boys.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear. Now we're gonna be about
That's
this
what was impressive. It was the most impressive CU game I've seen in a long time, and we were waiting to see it.
Built to the booty, baby. I got Brian to say We beat the brakes off of them. All right, y'all stay tuned for more, man. We're right here. Big Dog, Chico, Brian, Howell. Brian, let them know where they can find you at, Brian.
I don't know if I want them to find me or not, but
They
at
love
Brian,
you, dog. You
I
with
know.
me, dog. You ride with me right
Look,
now. You with me? We
I
good.
love all of them because they're supporting CU and that's good for me and good for the Buffs. But at Brian Howell 33 on Twitter and at Buff Zone and the Daily Camera, Boulder Daily Camera, so you can find me there.
Hey, make sure y'all stay tuned next week. Brian and myself, we will be giving our prediction for the Colorado Buffs in the K-State game. What will Brian do? Will he pick this team or will he pick that team? Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Y'all know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment right now. What you waiting on? Yeah, you can do it right now. It's free. All right. Until then, we're going to be up and about the same peace in the Middle East. We up out of here. Yeah. Buff Time Podcast, baby.